steps in the course of human evolution, each of which is so improbable that before it would occur, the sun would cease to be a main sequence star and would incinerate the Earth. These include things like the development of a DNA-based genetic code. If we could have that up there, please. Do we have that slide? I guess not. All right, well, it includes things like the DNA-based genetic code, the evolution of aerobic respiration, evolution of glucose fermentation to pyruvic acid, the development of an endoskeleton, and so on and so forth. 10 steps in the course of the evolution of Homo sapiens, each of which is so improbable that before it would happen, the sun would go through its stellar evolution and incinerate the Earth. As a result, they report, and I quote, "There has developed a general consensus among evolutionists that the evolution of intelligent life, comparable in information processing ability to that of Homo sapiens, is so improbable that it is unlikely to have occurred on any other planet in the entire visible universe." But that raises the question, and why think that it has evolved on this planet by these Darwinian mechanisms? Indeed, doesn't the evidence suggest just the opposite? In fact, Tipler himself now believes that the evolutionary process must have been guided. So the question remains, how can Professor Ayala maintain, in light of the evidence, that ID is not even viable? Notice that tonight I'm not arguing for the truth of ID. I'm agnostic about that. I don't know if ID is justified in the field of biology. But what I haven't seen is good evidence to think that it's not even viable. And it seems to me that this remains an alternative that deserves a place at the table. So why think that ID is not viable? Well, that takes us to Professor Ayala's theological objections to intelligent design. In the absence of good scientific evidence for the adequacy of the Darwinian mechanisms, the critic of ID has to resort to theological objections. But as I explained in my first speech, these are simply irrelevant to the scientific design inference, because that inference says nothing about the moral qualities of the designer, nor about the designer being all-powerful. So that these questions, though interesting and important for theology, are not relevant in tonight's debate in assessing the viability of intelligent design. I hope to address that theological question on my website this coming week, since I haven't had time to discuss it in tonight's debate. But for now, I think we can conclude that absent scientific evidence for the adequacy of the Darwinian mechanisms to explain the vast display of life on this planet in so relatively short a time, intelligent design remains a viable player in the field of biology.